appearing in If, Deadpool and Wolverine, and it ends with Us throughout 2024, Blake Lively is certainly having a moment, and while she's been an A-lister for quite some time, not all of her movies have been smash hits. These are the 12 biggest box office bangers in Lively's filmography. Most Blake Lively movies are firmly grounded dramas or comedies. However, for her January 2020 feature, The Rhythm Section, Hollywood dared to ask, what would happen if Blake Lively had a gun? An adaptation of the Mark Burnell novel of the same name, The Rhythm Section follows Lively as Stephanie Patrick, a woman who goes on a violent revenge spree to avenge her murdered family. This Morano directorial effort then follows Patrick as she goes from being over her head in violent skirmishes to channeling Liam Neeson in Taken and how easily she disposes of baddies. This globe-trotting, explosion-laden enterprise was a drastic departure from other Lively movies, and unfortunately that risk didn't translate into a box office hit. This $50 million budgeted feature grossed just $5.9 million worldwide, nearly all of that coming from a $5.4 million domestic haul. Its box office run was instantly marked a disaster after its North American opening weekend. The Rhythm Section scored the worst opening weekend ever at the time for a feature debuting in over 3,000 theaters. It was eventually estimated that the Rhythm Section would lose over $30 million for its financiers, a staggering loss. Action movie mode was just not a mold audiences wanted to see Lively inhabit. Notably, competition from a lighter January 2020 smash hit, Bad Boys for Life, also restricted the chances that the Rhythm Section had a box office success.
You don't have what it takes.
So drown. Or quit.
Blake Lively was one of the countless big-name actors in the anthology film New York, I Love You. The expansive scope of this feature, which comprises 10 distinct short stories, allowed Lively to work with performers like Anton Yelchin, Olivia Thirlby, and James Caan in a story written by the Terminal scribe Jeff Nathanson and directed by Brett Ratner. Taking part in New York, I Love You also allowed this Gossip Girl veteran to flex her talents in indie cinema. While most of her career is confined to mainstream studio releases, this particular production saw Lively inhabiting a more cash-strapped and intimate affair. The budget came out to about $1 million per short, with each story directed on location in 48 hours. Anthology films don't have the greatest box office track record. New York, I Love You was no exception to this phenomenon. An army of recognizable actors couldn't bolster the box office potential of the film, which topped out at just $9.7 million worldwide, about $5 million shy of the budget. Nearly all of the box office sums came from its overseas haul, with the movie only scoring $1.5 million in North America. In addition, New York, I Love You was partially doomed thanks to poor reviews, a kiss of death for any limited art house release. Lively may have tried something new here, but it clearly didn't pay off at the box office. In recent years, Lively has consistently demonstrated her strong comic chops. She excels with dry, dark humor in A Simple Favor, and she's also proven hysterical in promo videos for Ryan Reynolds' blockbusters like Pokémon Detective Pikachu. Given these skills, one would expect that she'd be consistently delivering outstanding line deliveries in Steven Pink's 2006 comedy, Accepted. Alas, this is a 2000s comedy centered on wacky male leads. Lively plays Monica Morland, the love interest for protagonist Bartleby, and she's mainly around to function as a prize Bartleby can eventually secure and to play straight man to the funny boys.
Why can't the opposite be true?
Perhaps if Accepted gave Lively or any other female actress in the movie more substantive gags to handle, its box office haul would have improved. Worldwide, Accepted only took in $38.3 million on a $23 million budget. Profitability eluded the feature theatrically, likely because PG-13 college-centric comedies aren't super popular with audiences.
Anything you want, not money related.
The most iconic features in this genre are raunchy R-rated fare, and how can sanded-down PG-13 titles compete with the likes of Animal House or Old School? Competition from August 2006 comedy juggernaut Talladega Nights: The Ballad of Ricky Bobby sealed this one's box office fate. Thankfully for Lively, she'd score more high-profile and lucrative places to demonstrate her comic abilities in the decades that followed Accepted. In 2001, the Ambra Shares novel The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants hit store shelves. The immediately eye-catching title became a must-read by tapping into people's memories of their own equivalent to the book's titular pants that kept them connected to their friends no matter where they were. Such a popular text could not be confined to the land of Borders bookstores forever, and in 2005, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants hit movie theaters under the direction of filmmaker Ken Kwapis. Lively plays Bridget Vreeland in the film, one of the story's 4 lead characters. working alongside fellow leads Amber Tamblyn, Alexis Bledel, and America Ferrera, this production was one of Lively's first big lead movie roles. Its eventual box office run kicked off her silver screen exploits solidly. Worldwide, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants took in $41.5 million on a $25 million budget. Nearly all of that gross came from its North American performance, with only $2.5 million stemming from its international performance. It was not a massive moneymaker in theaters, struggling to keep up with June 2005 rom-com blockbusters like Monster-in-Law and Miss Congeniality too, but it outgrossed other PG-rated competition like the Hilary Duff film The Perfect Man. Even so, distributor Warner Brothers clearly thought something went right with the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and a sequel arrived in theaters in August 2008. Summer 2008 was chock full of highly anticipated sequels. Indiana Jones returned for his first adventure in 19 years in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Brendan Fraser's Mummy exploits entertained theatergoers again after a 7-year hiatus with The Mummy: Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Then, of course, there was the return of Christopher Nolan's vision of Batman in The Dark Knight. Among those follow-ups was the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2. The first film's main cast reunited for further exploits involving friendship and denim 3 years after that original feature resonated so deeply with certain audience members. Any hopes distributor Warner Brothers had that the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants fandom would grow in between installments quickly dissipated after the film's so-so opening weekend. Costing a smidge more to make, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2 only made $44.2 million worldwide, just 8% more than its predecessor. The film's financial shortcomings might be blamed on audiences not necessarily craving a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants franchise. To give credit where credit is due though, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2 did at least marginally improve on its predecessor's domestic gross. That's an achievement much costlier summer 2008 sequels like Tomb of the Dragon Emperor could not claim.
Do you know if this movie's any good? Well, that depends.
For Woody Allen's 2016 movie, Café Society, Lively channeled the spirit of the 1930s, portraying Veronica, the eventual partner of protagonist Bobby. Her role in the feature isn't especially meaty, with more screen time devoted to Bobby and his initial romantic interest, Varney, and eventual rival Phil Stern. Still, Lively inhabits a stacked ensemble cast, also containing Parker Posey, Corey Stoll, and Anna Camp, among other acting champions. Sadly, all those big names weren't enough to make Café Society immediately profitable for Amazon Studios when it hit theaters in July 2016. On a $30 million budget, Café Society only grossed $44.3 million worldwide. The vast majority of that sum hailed from international territories, with Café Society only drumming up $11.1 million domestically. Among Allen's features, Café Society was a middling domestic performer, coming in beneath the North American halls of titles like To Rome with Love and Zelig. Perhaps by 2016, audiences had grown weary of Allen's filmmaking and default narratives, as well as a controversy swirling around the director. Maybe the starry cast assembled here wasn't as enticing as the casts of higher-grossing Allen features like Blue Jasmine and Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Whatever the reason, this particular title featuring Lively failed to make much of a splash in North America. The Age of Adaline is a deeply important movie in Blake Lively's filmography. For the first time in her career, she anchored an original film all on her own. There would be no trio of other ladies sharing the spotlight like in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, nor two male leads front and center in the marketing like with Savages.
That is a tough one.
The Age of Adaline is a Blake Lively star vehicle, full stop. This production was an enormous test of whether or not Lively was a bankable star. In the end, the film's box office results turned out promising. Lively might not have immediately become the next Leonardo DiCaprio or Sandra Bullock, but she did prove that she could be a draw without any other famous co-stars on the poster. Opening over the final week of April 2015 in North America, The Age of Adaline kicked off its domestic run with a solid $13.2 million and legged it out in this territory to $42.6 million. Throw in another $26.3 million overseas, and the feature had a worldwide haul of $68.9 million, a little more than double its $30 million budget. Impressively, The Age of Adaline had come in ahead of the box office hauls of both Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants installments, despite having no famous source material at its back. Putting Lively in the right kind of romantic drama proved enough to get Adaline to box office success. In Oliver Stone's 2012 romantic drug drama Savages, Lively plays Ophelia, a woman in a polyamorous relationship with weed dealers Chan and Ben. This being a 21st century crime thriller, conflict eventually emerges thanks to shady cartel forces from Mexico. These figures kidnap Ophelia and plan to destroy Chan and Ben's business. Lively is the leading lady in all of this crime mayhem, though she wasn't at the forefront when it came to the box office performance of Savages. Instead, all eyes were laser-focused on her co-star, Taylor Kitsch, who was fresh off two massive 2012 bombs, Battleship and John Carter. Opening over the July 4th weekend in 2012, Savages didn't provide Kitsch or anyone in the production with a surprise smash hit for the ages.
My hope is still alive.
However, it didn't flame out either, scoring an $82 million worldwide gross on a $45 million budget. Narrowly avoiding profitability, Savages likely would have done better with two more high-profile leading men. Hinging this motion picture on two untested male actors was a risk that didn't pay off. Opening just days after R-rated hits Magic Mike and Ted also didn't do Savages any favors in attracting adult moviegoers. After starring in two back-to-back hits for the Age of Adaline and The Shallows, Lively's next star vehicle paired her with two more famous faces, Anna Kendrick and writer-director Paul Feig. The twisty-turny thriller A Simple Favor revolves around potential murder and double crosses, and features Lively as the ideal mom, before transforming into something more morally complicated than her previous big-screen characters.
You just seem highly motivated. I don't know what it is, though.
Watching Lively depart from her typical cinematic persona proved enough of an attractive offer for a solid crop of moviegoers to check out A Simple Favor theatrically. Preceded by a stylish and colorful marketing campaign from domestic distributor Lionsgate, A Simple Favor grossed $97.6 million worldwide, including $53.5 million domestically. On a $20 million budget, A Simple Favor was already plenty profitable just from its North American performance. It also went on to have a second life on streaming, topping Netflix charts 6 years after its premiere. The film's lucrative performance wasn't just a step up from the box office hauls of many past Lively movies. It also gave Kendrick one of her most lucrative box office performances outside of the Pitch Perfect and Twilight franchises. Audiences love shark movies. Dating back to the historic box office haul of Jaws in 1975, the prospect of seeing ancient sea beasties chomping on plucky humans has been a constant draw for people. Whether it's Deep Blue Sea, The Meg, or 47 Meters Down, shark thrillers tend to make a pretty penny in theaters. In 2016, Lively entered this lucrative domain with The Shallows. This particular title was one of Lively's sparsest star vehicles. The story largely focuses on her alone on an island facing off against a hungry shark that's preventing her from returning to shore. Only a plucky bird named Steven Seagull is around to keep her company. This means Lively was the sole star attraction in The Shallows, beyond her character's great white adversary. The elegant simplicity of The Shallows seemed like a risk on paper. However, in execution, it was a key reason the film became a major sleeper hit. Worldwide, The Shallows became the first Lively star vehicle to crack $100 million worldwide, with a haul of $118.7 million worldwide, including $55.1 million domestically. The Shallows was exceedingly profitable on just a $13 million budget. Not only did it benefit from people's enduring interest in sharks, but it also flourished as compelling original counter-programming in a summer full of sequels. Opening against Independence Day, Resurgence, and Now You See Me Too, Lively's 2016 thriller offered audiences something new, while building on the long-standing moviegoer affection for sharks. For his second directorial effort, The Town, Ben Affleck assembled a stacked cast, combining new beloved actors with iconic faces that had been in cinema for decades. Blake Lively was one of those hot new faces in this feature, taking on one of her first dramatic performances. Here she plays Krista, the ex-lover of Affleck's bank robber protagonist, Douglas. The Town certainly wasn't sold as a Lively movie in its marketing. However, her casting spoke volumes about how much confidence Hollywood had in her career. Putting all those recognizable names in one crime thriller turned out to be a potent recipe for box office success, and The Town furthered Affleck's directorial career with a box office smash hit. This motion picture grossed $152.5 million on a $37 million budget. This feature did roughly 2.5 times its price tag in the US alone, thanks to a hefty $92.1 million domestic gross. Beyond all those familiar actors in its cast, The Town also benefited from the strong box office track record of movies focused on organized crime. Audiences previously showed up in sizable numbers for titles like American Gangster and Get Shorty. Those features provided a great historical bedrock for The Town to build on. Strictly looking at Lively's box office history, the 2011 superhero movie Green Lantern looks like a big smash hit. The film is where she met her future husband, Ryan Reynolds, with Lively starring as his love interest. As of August 2024, it's the only movie featuring Lively in a live-action capacity to crack both $100 million domestically and $200 million worldwide. Its box office haul is also considerably ahead of any other movie she's appeared in. Green Lantern's domestic haul alone more than doubled A Simple Favor's North American gross. But box office matters are more complicated than all that. Green Lantern is technically the highest-grossing movie Lively has ever appeared in, and the only massive blockbuster she's acted in, not counting her voice cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, a $200 million budgeted superhero film with a sprawling marketing campaign would bring in more cash than the Age of Adaline. Worldwide, Green Lantern made $219.5 million, $116.6 million of which came from North American territories. On a $200 million budget, the film was nowhere near profitable. Its gross also fell well behind other DC Comics blockbusters. Green Lantern failing was by no means Lively's fault. She was barely even featured in the movie's marketing. A widely lambasted promotional campaign and dismal audience word of mouth doomed this costly flick. Even with the well-reported failures of Green Lantern, the film's sheer scale and summer blockbuster mold ensured it outgrossed all other motion pictures Lively has appeared in.